Welcome to No Fugazee Podcast. I'm your host, Cooley. Tonight is debate night. We got two heavy hitters. We got Final Boss meets Final Boss. If you're a fan of Jay Dyer and a fan of Marquett Devon Burton, you view them as the Final Boss. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and bring both of these gentlemen on up. We're going to go ahead and start with Marquett Devon Burton. Marquett Devon Burton is an American technology entrepreneur. Marquett holds a bachelor's from the University of California at Berkeley, as well as a master's degree from Johns Hopkins University. Marquett is also a communication expert. He's a best-selling author and a businessman. Let's welcome Marquett Devon Burton to the stage.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for coming, man. Thanks for coming. All right, let's get his opponent up. Fighting out of the red corner, Jay Dyer.
He's the blue corner. I'm the red corner.
You the red corner. All right, fair enough. Jay Dyer, we have him. He's a writer and a researcher from Southern United States with a BA in philosophy. Jay Dyer's graduate work focuses on interplay of literary theory, espionage, and philosophy. He's also a best-selling author, a comedian. Let's welcome Jay Dyer to No Fugazee Podcast. All right. Welcome to the channel, folks. Let's just go over the rules real quick for the audience so you know how this debate is going to be structured. It's going to be timed. We're going to have a 5-minute opening statement max. Is going to go into 15 minutes of cross-examination for both parties. And then it's going to go to 30 minutes open dialogue. Marquett is on a time limit, but he'll let me know how long he can go for. And then we'll finish it up with a 5-minute closing statement as well. Let me go ahead and get my timer up for this. Give me a second here.
That's official right there.
Oh, yeah. This official right here. Let me go ahead and put you guys up.
Damn, he's already running my time down, just trying to cheat.
Now, we're gonna start this off clean. I appreciate both of you brothers for coming up. Now, tonight's topic is going to be, is Christianity true and good for all people? Jay is taking the affirmative position. We'll have him go first. Jay, whenever you start speaking, I'll start the timer.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate my friend here for coming. I think Christianity is definitely true because, number one, we can argue and prove it logically. I focus on my channel quite a bit on philosophy and the logical argumentation for those types of religious positions. And one way to know that would be the transcendental argument. We're not doing that tonight, but since true is in the proposition, the debate problem, I'm going to say, yeah, that the transcendental argument, I think, points us in the direction first of a being that is immaterial, that is invariant, that is non-physical, that is the grounding both epistemically and ontologically for the possibility of the things that make knowledge possible. So in other words, things like the laws of logic, things like numbers, things like principles, philosophical principles like causation or teleology, all of those things require some kind of grounding beyond mere physicalism. And then to go beyond that, I think the Christian paradigm, the Orthodox Christian worldview, including its ethics, its metaphysics, and its epistemology, is unique and provides a cohesive, coherent, extensive justification and grounding for our ethical, metaphysical, and epistemic beliefs. So when we talk about the trueness of it, that's the direction that I would go. Obviously, I'm limited in terms of fleshing out all of that argumentation, but also historically, we have a good grounding for the claims of Christianity in terms of the evidences for the validity and the accuracy of the New Testament. It's the most well attested to ancient documents. I'm not saying that Christianity is true because of that. I'm saying these are just evidences for Christianity within that framework of the transcendental argument, which I would begin with. But the historicity of Christ, the historicity of the documents themselves, far more well attested to than Plato or Aristotle, even any of the other great epics of history. They're all pale in comparison to what we have with the documents of the New Testament, with 5,000 plus existing copies and manuscripts and textual traditions within the first few centuries of the church. We also have a long history of Christianity's effect on the world, and this gets into the idea of, is it good for all people? We note, for example, that the brutality of the Roman Empire was transformed into Byzantium. We saw a change in the sort of autocratic idea of paterfamilias of the Roman Empire, that members of the family could be tossed out if they were not wanted. For example, daughters. We saw infanticide, etc., being challenged, which were normative in the ancient pagan world. We see rights, for example, in the book of Deuteronomy, and of course, Deuteronomy and the ethics of Mosaic law are also part of the Christian heritage. We see for the first time in the book of Deuteronomy, as I argued in the recent Muslim debates and modern day debates, DebateCon 8, that this is the first time in the ancient world you begin to see rights, or I should say protections, so to speak, for people in other classes or in the slave class, and even banning things like grape for women that are taken in battle. Those were revolutionary for the time. We've not seen ethics like that in the ancient world, and even beyond that, into the idea that humans have dignity because they're made in the image of God. Those Mosaic principles are then spread to the rest of the world throughout the history of the Christian church. Certainly, the Christian church wasn't able in its first, second, and third centuries, because it was persecuted, it was in the catacombs, to change every aspect of society. Ultimately, we aren't able to perfect the world. We can't get rid of every injustice, but definitely, I think if you look at the course of the Christian church in the last 2,000 years, and specifically I'm arguing for the Orthodox Church, but even outside of Orthodoxy, even deviations like Rome or Protestantism have still benefited society in various ways. We think of, for example, modern inventions that come out of science. Science itself is birthed out of the medieval tradition of the university itself, a Christian invention. Hospitals come out of Christianity. We think of the longest existing and most successful empire, not just in terms of length of time, but also in terms of monetary policy. The Byzantine Empire lasted for over 1,000 years, and it's the longest, most successful in that regard, even in a worldly sense, empire. Of course, it did fall, and all empires are bound to fail. But Christianity at least provides not just a positive aspect, a positive appraisal from its history, but also its ethic itself, which I think is, in terms of compared to other world religions, the highest ethic that we could have, with what we see in the Ten Commandments and the Beatitudes and what Christ offers.
All right. Thank you for that, Jay. We're going to move on over to Marquett. Once you start speaking, I'll start your time.
Sure. Jay, I appreciate that, and thanks for being here. We haven't had a chance to meet, so it'll be good to get to know you during this conversation. The title is Christianity True and Good for All People? I don't really want to get into the conversation of, is Christianity true? I don't think it's very interesting. There are people who are far brighter than I am who have argued that back and forth for the centuries. I do want to speak on Christianity is not for Black people, so that addresses the second part. I trust we'll touch on the first part during the conversation. Christianity is something that you just portrayed extraordinary. It was so positive. There was just no level of balance there. I think we'll have a really engaging conversation, creating some balance and pursuing truth together. But I would say that with regards to the Black peoples, Christianity has found ways to reconcile land and resource theft, enslavement, cultural erasure, genocide, apartheid. Christian merchants transported enslaved Africans. Christian theologians defended slavery and thought of racial hierarchies with Blacks at the bottom. Christian missionaries attacked indigenous African belief systems, family structures, and lifeways. The Christian slave trade, as I like to call it, transported 12 million kidnapped Africans across the Atlantic, with millions more dying during captured, forced marches, confinement, and maritime transportation. These slaving empires were overwhelmingly Christian. Portugal, Spain, Britain, France, Netherlands, the United States. You mentioned Byzantines. Catholic empires enslaved Africans, European Protestants and empires enslaved Africans, even the American Protestants enslaved Africans. The Orthodox Christians, you said you're an Orthodox, they enslaved. Anglican merchants participated, Reformed Protestants participated, Puritans participated. All of the denominations joined in. It was an ecumenical Christian movement. This has been the Christian way, justified with the Christian gospel. Africans could be branded, with this burned into their skin, forcibly transported, inherited, mortgaged, sexually abused, castrated, separated from their children, whipped, worked to death, while the Christians administrating these systems would baptize white children, construct churches, print Bibles, and profess allegiance to Jesus Christ. Christianity did not exist in the background. Christian societies developed theological and juridical mechanisms for supporting the enslavement and subjugation of Black children, Black women, and Black men. Christianity is not for the Black peoples. I yield the floor.
All right. Thank you for that, Marquett. So we're going to go ahead and move into cross-examination. Since Jay went first, Jay, it's up to you. Do you want to have him cross-examine your position first, or you want to do his first?
Either way is fine.
Marquett, floor is yours. What you want to do?
I will cross-examine Jay first.
Okay. Let me go ahead and get the 15-minute timer for this. Give me 1 second here. Just a moment here, folks. And let's get this one up here. Okay. All right, Marquett, whenever you start speaking, I'll start the timer.
I appreciate that. Jay, would you tell me about a time in history or even the present where Christians did wrong?
Sure. There could be many ways to cash that out. You could say that you could have a corrupt Christian king who, stole money. You could have a papacy that engaged in usury. You could have the Roman Catholics attacking other Christians, like in the Crusades, the Byzantines. So, I mean, there's a lot of different possible examples. Do you want like a specific historical example or like a potential thing that could happen between one person to another?
I think historical is good. I kind of like where you took the conversation. So with those Christians doing wrong, you said corrupt king.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that he was corrupt in the sense that he wasn't a Christian, or he was a Christian, he was just a corrupt Christian?
Well, given the limited historical accounts that I have, I would go by the public profession. So I would say that in the case of, say, a corrupt king in the Middle Ages who, I don't know, stole land from the serfs, he would be professing as a Christian, but then a corrupt Christian.
So by your standards, are you defining him as a Christian, or is he not a Christian because he was corrupt?
Well, in Christianity, what defines a Christian isn't did you commit a sin or this or that ethical infraction. It's your baptism and your public faith profession.
Very good. I think that's completely reasonable. So basically, if they've been baptized and they self-identify as a Christian, then they are in fact a Christian.
Loosely speaking, I mean, at least that's how most people would perceive it. I would take issue in terms of technicalities that as Orthodox, we don't recognize like Jehovah's Witnesses or even Protestants as quote Christian, but nominally speaking, they self-identify. And so you could say they were quote nominally Christian.
You identify them as heretics.
Mm-hmm.
Roger that. Okay. So with that being the case, we're taking them as Christians because they say they're Christian because they've been baptized. And you're suggesting that Christianity is good for all peoples. And I'm speaking specifically in the case of the Black peoples. We could speak broadly in another discussion. This is my current interest. Why would Christianity be good for Black people when we observe that there was so much destruction to the African peoples at the hands of Christianity? Not only the violence that occurred to Black bodies, but also the violence that occurred to the mind. And there was so much cultural erasure. In fact, Christianity was largely the foundational thinking that allowed Black lifeways, African lifeways, to be defined as pretty much the opposite of good because they were not Christian European. And this is not to suggest that Christianity is European. This is to suggest that the Europeans who were exercising Christianity had their own spin on it. So, for example, the idea is that Europeans possess religion, Africans possess superstition, Europeans are civilized, Africans are primitive. Europeans have knowledge, Africans have customs. It's like almost everything that was African was defined as bad, and it was largely based on the Christian values. And because of that determination and that dichotomy that was created, when you say, okay, well, we need to follow Jesus, if they're following paganism or that which is not Christian, these are heathens. And because they're heathens, it's kind of okay if we do violence upon them and enslave them. And this is something that we saw consistently across various Christian groups, including ones that you identify with and others you consider heretics. I yield the floor.
Yeah, the answer is that it would be a genetic fallacy to argue that because a specific individual had a specific sin, that therefore the rest of their commitments were therefore evil or false. So, for example, you could argue that a person believed in, let's say, you know, a form of distributist economics, or that a person believes in capitalism or socialism. The fact that the person acted evil or did this action that was evil, it wouldn't necessarily mean, it's just a logical fallacy to say that the system that they adhere to is therefore false. So how would
I did not suggest it was false. I suggested that the outcomes were wicked. I did not suggest it was false.
Well, the premise of the debate is true and good. So that I thought you would be arguing that it's false.
I said that it wasn't good. The outcomes were not good. They were destructive. They provided for land theft. They provided for destruction of culture. They provided for extraordinary levels of violence, genocide, apartheid.
But how are you arguing that that's not, how do you demonstrate that it's not the vice of the individual versus the religion itself?
Well, that's a good question. You mentioned individual. These were not individuals. We reference entire empires. We can reference the Byzantine Empire. These are not individuals. And what's more, Christianity was critical to the execution of a lot of these things. If you look in the American context or the Caribbean context, they gave the blacks a slave Bible with it was modified to maintain mental bondage. When you look at Christian enslavement and colonization throughout the African continent, you find that it was supported by missionaries.
But again, this would be a genetic fallacy, because you can't demonstrate that because these individuals, and by the way, empires are made up of individuals. So they are individuals.
that would be a fallacy right there.
No, it wouldn't. How would a collective
and
not
your
be made
genetic
up of?
fallacy has not been clarified, mind you. What I'm describing are the mechanisms of Christianity being used on a consistent basis to justify enslavement. Whether we're talking about scripturally, you can look at, it's been used, Ephesians, Colossians 3:22. But even beyond the Bible, you look at Christian organizations like the Ku Klux Klan is a Christian organization. They're publicly stated as, we are defending Christian Protestant civilization against foundational Black Americans, against Jews, against immigrants. They burn crosses. They have Christian iconography. And consistently, you'll see that Christianity is utilized as a tool, and it is component and process in enslaving and colonizing. And it's not individuals, it's organized groups. And that's the part that you're denying. Okay. You're suggesting that it's one random, you're acting like it's like a random individual Christian. No, I'm not suggesting that all things that Christians do are wicked. I'm not suggesting that Christianity is wholly destructive. What I'm pointing out to you is that if you have a medicine that consistently has such bad side effects, then probably this is not a medicine. The healing must be questioned.
No, I didn't argue that. I said that it's a genetic fallacy to conclude that because of the source themselves doing something bad, that therefore the whole proposition or what they're doing or everything else in their ideology is bad. That's the fallacy there. That's why you can't do, it's like a version of an ad hominem. That's like saying, I don't like you, and therefore what you're saying is false, or you did a bad thing here, and so therefore your ideology is false. So you would have to demonstrate, and you moved in that direction with citing Ephesians as to why you think that there's an ideological problem in the system that's leading to that. But you then
sir, you're suggesting that history is not a meaningful example. The references to scripture are the least of it. We can reference 12 million dead. We can reference an entire continent colonized.
How do you logically show that that's Christianity and not individuals acting that way?
That's a good question. Well, for example, we can consider what the Pope has said, right? Has the Pope not, and the Pope's not the only one, but for example, we can see that the Pope has specifically condoned slavery. And this went on for years. There's so many examples that we can go through it, and I'm happy to go through them. I don't know how the cross-examination works. I don't know if I'm supposed to be going through the examples or if you are, but
Marquett, you do not have to go through any examples. He's on the defense, so
okay,
you can continue to ask questions.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, yeah. Jay, if you would be in good faith and be honest, you know that several popes have explicitly condoned enslavement. You know that when the Portuguese first started along the Atlantic coast of Africa and they started enslaving Africans, this is what the blessing of the Roman Catholic Church. You know that theology has been modified or interpreted however you like it to justify slavery. And I'll give you one thing that makes it really ridiculous. What you're saying is quite dishonest. Your Bible, and this is why I don't reference the scripture, because it's so unreliable, that you have both the abolitionist and the slaveholder using the Bible and Christianity to justify violently contradictory positions. For example, now here's the comedy. In the case of the slaveholder, they have specific scripture they can reference that justifies slavery, whereas the abolitionist actually has to use Christian principles as opposed to specific scripture. So what you're doing is quite disingenuous. And the reason I try not to debate religion is because it requires you to lie. It requires you to lie to justify your deeply held beliefs. I yield the floor.
Yeah, it's a non sequitur, because even if you admit that the Bible is unclear, then and you would be admitting that by saying that neither group can demonstrate which one's right or wrong, you would then be admitting that the Bible doesn't clearly teach your position, and so you can't actually refer it to Ephesians. So that's another fallacy. It's a non sequitur.
That's incorrect. I'm not admitting that I never claimed that the Bible drives my position. I stated that the actions of Christians have led to enslavement, genocide, apartheid, and much else. History is replete with examples.
I don't think you understood I don't think you understood the
You're
argument.
engaging you're being a metaphysician, and I'm more so on the side of the historian. I'm more so on the side of the historian. And so what I'm challenging to you is to acknowledge that systems of oppression have been justified directly with Christianity. I'm not suggesting that they were correct in their interpretations. Frankly, I don't care. I'm saying that it is so consistent that we see Christians behaving in this way that we have to ask, if it's a system for good, why is it not consistently producing enough good to contend with genocide, apartheid, colonization, land theft?
Again, I keep highlighting specific lines of argumentation that I'm disagreeing with, that you're presenting a fallacious line of argumentation. And the reason that I have to call that out is that if I'm going to answer it, you can't trap me with a fallacious line of argument that's attempting to then make me look like I'm affirming something absurd. So that's why we have to do logic, and logic isn't metaphysics, by the way. They're two different things. So when I say that that's a fallacy, which was a genetic fallacy earlier, and I'm saying now, you're saying that the Bible was unclear, but then you cited the Bible for why you were arguing for that it promotes slavery. So
no,
is
it
unclear or does
that
it promote
the Bible
slavery?
promoted slavery? I was pointing out the historical fact that both sides utilize the Bible, and that is clarification that it is a tool that can be utilized both for good and evil.
Would you say
your suggestion that Christianity is a tool of good, I'm saying,
if it's unclear,
if you would be honest, if you'd be honest about history, even if you look at apartheid in South Africa and you look at the Dutch, they specifically used theology of their church to justify the control of Black Africans and the subjugation.
Yeah, I get where you're going, but you're not understanding the line of argument. That's my response, which is, if you're admitting that the Bible is unclear, then how can you say that the foundational documents and teaching of the religion promote slavery? Maybe it does.
Again, you keep saying that. That's a straw man. I never made that argument. What I'm talking to you about is not the thinking or the claims or even the scripture. What I'm talking to you about are the outcomes, the behaviors, and what has been demonstrated by Christians and their church.
But you argued that the scriptures are unclear on this.
Focus on what I just said. Don't run.
How am I running?
You're running because I told you my argument is about the actions of Christians.
Okay, but it's a fallacy because it's relying on something that was ambiguous and doesn't
That's
lead
not
to
a
that
fallacy,
conclusion.
sir.
It is. If it's unclear, if the texts are unclear, the foundational texts are unclear, how are you
You're
concluding
talking
that?
about the Bible. I'm talking
Mhm.
about the actions of Christians.
But Christianity is
You
a
keep
religion.
running. We know what I'm talking about. You're pretending you don't understand.
Christianity is a no. I understand.
Okay, well
Christianity
then
is a
act like it and
it's a
address what I said
religion.
instead of trying to run and falsely claim logical fallacies.
I don't. How am I falsely claiming? I don't even think you understand. Could you restate what I'm saying?
You know what I'm asking you. I'm asking
So you
you
can't say
to no, don't play games. See,
I'm not
what you're
playing a
trying
game. I don't think you
don't play
understand the
games.
argument.
What I'm asking you to do is to address the fact that on a consistent basis we can see organized efforts of Christians doing great evil in the world. I see you've not acknowledged any of the evil, you've not condemned it at all, and somehow you're trying to escape what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
that's not true.
I'm
I
asking you
listed
to
multiple.
address
I
it.
listed cases of evil. So how is that? That's not true.
Well, address what I just asked you.
Again, like if the argument is based on a fallacy, I can't address something that is a fallacious line of argument. It's a fallacious question. So it's assuming that that Christianity is ambiguous, but you're also saying that it teaches slavery.
No, I did not say Christianity is ambiguous. I just said
You said that multiple
that
times. You said the Bible.
no,
Well, the
sir,
Bible.
you keep
Bible.
going back to the Bible again. Everyone's listening to you.
Did
Keep
you
running.
Did you say it's
You're
unclear?
running to Scripture when I'm talking about the
Bro, you said
behaviors
it's unclear, right?
of Christians. For example, I referenced the Dutch Reformed Church. They developed theological defenses of apartheid. You can see scholar Johan Theron on that one. So what I'm asking you is if Christians and their church, are you guys saying that?
Yeah, it just went out. Hey, real quick. Do you want to extend this out of like
This man
3-5
answered no questions.
minutes?
This man answered no questions. He tried his best to basically bog down the discussion.
why
and say,
are
I
you
don't
trying to waste
understand. You
time?
don't understand.
It's
We
not
don't
your time, dude.
understand.
You're done. Why are you wasting time?
Yeah,
Just
so real
walk
quick, I got you guys real quick. So Marquett was asking a question. Jay Dyer, from my understanding, he was saying that it was a fallacious question. This is why he couldn't answer it. But it is, real quick, Jay Dyer, it is Marquett's time for the cross-examination. So if you could address the question in a way where it can then satisfy his cross-examination. I understand your position, but you'll have your 15 minutes to address that on your time.
Yeah.
So I'll just let this play out for 2 more minutes here.
Sure. Go ahead, ask it again.
What I just said, the last thing I said before the time ran out. That's what we're on.
Remind me what it was.
A guy as smart as you, you're a really deep thinker. I mean,
why are you bringing insults up?
I just said a guy as smart as you. You're a really deep thinker. What I'm saying is that you're highly intelligent. You know what I said. You understand perfectly well.
You can't restate it. People do this in debates all the time.
Yeah.
You can't restate the question?
For the 5th time, huh?
Yeah, fine. For the 10th time. It doesn't matter. Restate it, please. You want me to say that that Christians have done wrong actions? I already admitted that in the opening statement. Yes, they have.
You ready for a question?
Are you going to ask it, or I'm waiting?
If the church consistently, the history is replete with examples, creates, interprets, modifies theology to justify wrongdoing, please explain how the church and Christianity is a source of good when we can see that it consistently is doing this.
Again, Christianity condemns wrong actions anywhere that it occurs. And you've just assumed that in all of these instances, everything is a blanket wrong action. And I'm not going to admit that, because these are specific cases. And also, I'm not bound by the Dutch church. So why would I care what the Dutch church is?
Well, we can switch in various examples. I just want to make sure that, are you engaging the no true Scotsman fallacy, basically saying that, those are not real Christians?
No, you're arguing against the idea that all Christianity is Christianity. That's why I specified that I'm Orthodox. So
yes, but we started off in the beginning, and you stated that you view certain groups as heretics, and I said, okay, But we then settled on the idea that if they've been baptized and they self-identify as Christians, then we'll take them as Christians for the purpose of this debate. We specifically did that. And now I'm addressing this group of Christians particularly. And now you're running away and saying, oh, well, they don't count, which again is the no true Scotsman fallacy. That's the no true Scotsman fallacy. You're saying that, well, these aren't Christians. And I look at it kind of like this. Like, for example, as a black person, there's some black people
30 seconds here, folks,
weren't black, like Talmud Tatum. He's just not a black person I'm proud of, but I can't say he's not black. Just like you're saying that these aren't Christians. Well, these are just not Christians you're proud of, kind of like the Ku Klux Klan. So let's take the Ku Klux Klan as an example, which is a Christian organization. Can you explain their actions?
I don't affirm that heterodox organizations are Christians. I said that nominally people optically perceive them to be so, but I did not affirm that they all are in fact so for the sake of debate. No.
You did agree that if they were baptized and self-identified as Christians, that we would treat them as Christians for the purpose of this debate. So basically, you're telling me that you're the ultimate authority on who is and who is not Christian. And so in doing that, what you're able to do is to reduce the number of persons whom we can address and assess their behavior as Christians. Because you're saying, well, they're not.
Yeah, but I have every right to do that because I'm here to defend Orthodox Christianity.
So okay, let's stop it there, folks.
That's not what it says in the title. It doesn't say Orthodox Christianity.
Marquett, let's go ahead and fellas, let's go ahead and stop it there. I just want to see if you guys could hash that out. But we still got 15 minutes for Jay Dyer and his cross-examination, and then we got the open dialogue format. I'm not sure how much time Marquett has, but hopefully he has some time to stay a little bit longer because this is a great conversation, and we have over 2,000 people in here watching. So get the likes up, folks. Jay, when you start speaking, you can go ahead and ask Marquett questions.
Yeah, the first line of argumentation that was fallacious was that you said that you're attributing collective guilt to all of the people for what I argued was specific actions of individual people. So I'm trying to figure out what is the basis epistemically or ethically for collective guilt.
Would you restate that real quick? I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so several points within your opening and then in your cross-examination, you attributed collective guilt. And I said that there was a lot of individuals who have done actions.
When you say collective guilt, are you saying collective guilt to all Christians or to all people within?
You are arguing for a form of collective guilt, that Christianity is a collective that has promoted these oppressive structures and these crimes.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to figure out how you get from individual actions. Maybe you can, but what's the logical move that the collective is guilty?
I never said that the collective is guilty. I said that Christianity supports.
Is that not a collective? You're arguing that all Christians? Is that not a collective?
Let me know when you want me to answer.
You understand how a cross-examination works, so I can interrupt?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I said, let me know when you want me to answer. I'll stop talking.
So Christianity isn't a collective group?
Yes, Christianity is a religion that has adherents that have different sects. And
are you arguing it's a collective group?
And if Christians do something and it's organized through their church, it's justified with their missionaries, then yes, we can assign that to Christianity. For example.
So why is a group collectively guilty for the actions of individuals? Maybe they are. I'm trying to figure out how.
I never suggested that all Christians are guilty. What I'm pointing out to you one second, sir. What I'm pointing out to you is that Christianity is not this force for good that you're describing it as. And you even mentioned Orthodox Christianity. There are examples of Orthodox Christianity. You look at the Romanian principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia.
Did you just Google that?
My hands are right here. How can I Google? You haven't seen me typing at all.
Googling a minute ago. What do you mean? Like you can't Google that?
You haven't seen me typing at all. So anyways, and again, what's that, an ad hominem attack you're referencing?
No, it's a question about the sources and your veracity. What's your source for this Romanian history?
That's an ad hominem.
That's not an ad hominem. It's a question.
So again, and I want everyone to notice that in the absence of being able to compete in terms of the ethics and morality and the actual debate, now you've reduced to ad hominem attacks. I was about to give you an answer. You don't even know what
ad hominem is.
And now I was about to give you an answer, and now you start attacking.
What's the source?
What did you Google? What did you Google?
Okay, so let's continue with the cross-examination. Go ahead, restate your question there, Jay Dyer.
Obviously, multiple times over, he attempted to argue for collective guilt, that Christianity is a collective. In fact, he even denied that empires weren't made up of individuals. I said, obviously, a collective is made up of individuals.
This is not even
Obviously.
the actual
Why are you interrupting?
topic of
This is my
conversation.
time, dude. Shut up. Why are you interrupting my
You're very
cross-examination,
angry.
dude? So again, you didn't even know how cross-examinations work. You try to concede your time in your cross-exam. You don't concede time in a
You're
cross-exam,
very
dude.
angry.
You don't even know what you're talking about. So I'm trying to figure out how you attribute logically individuals and then leap to a collective guilt. Maybe that's true. Maybe there is collective guilt, but how do you get there? And then you said, let me give you a Romanian historical source. What's the source?
Okay, you ready for the answer?
What's the academic source? Yeah.
Very good. So, Wallachia, Moldavia, they had chattel slavery. Monasteries owned slaves. Orthodox Christians.
That's an assertion.
Now,
What's the source?
You can search the source yourself.
So the source is Google, ChatGPT.
Are you suggesting that it didn't happen?
I'm asking you for your source. You're making assertions. You can't just assert shit,
No,
dude.
sir. No, sir. So you can play the game of what's your
not a
source,
game. You
but
understand how
that's
debates work?
one second. You can play the game of what's your source, and then it'll slow down the
It's
debate.
not a game.
Because the fact of the
wanna know
matter
your
is this.
source. This
The
is
fact
how
of the matter
debates
is
work.
this. The fact of the matter is this. If we've both been in university, we've taken courses in history, and if I reference
That's
something, you say, well,
irrelevant.
who's the author? Who's the author? Who said that?
Do you know why you footnote?
You're not
When you
you're
write a
not
book, you
engaging the
footnote.
actual argument.
When
You're
you
actually
write a
trying
book,
to
you
attack
footnote.
the
I want to know
source
your source
of the
because I don't
information.
think that you
If
actually
you're
read
saying
it.
that I'm making up something, that's a different thing.
Well, he doesn't have a source. I
Fact
want
check.
everybody to see that
We
he's
can fact check
asserting.
it.
You understand? You might be true.
One second. Are you
correct.
suggesting
All
that?
right, fellas. All right,
One
fellas.
second.
Let's
Are you
create some
suggesting
decorum
that-
here, fellas. Let's just create a little bit decorum.
Are you suggesting
since it's
that
real quick,
Orthodox-
Marquett? Since it's still
You
his
have the-
time, let's just yield the floor to him to ask the question.
Sure.
And let's see if we can get an answer on some things. But go ahead. Maybe Jay Dyer, maybe you want to restate the
I used
question
some
in a
rhetoric.
different way. Go ahead.
Yes, I use rhetoric, which is not an ad hominem. I called into question his source. There's nothing wrong with doing that in a debate when people are making assertions to prove their argumentation from historical evidence. I have a degree in history as well. And if you write a history book, you have to footnote. That's called sourcing. So I want to know, because I think you just Googled it or looked it up on ChatGPT, and I don't think you have an actual source. So what's the historical academic source?
So what I'm telling you is that
So you don't have one.
sure, Jay. So now
Do
that
you
we
have
said
one?
that, are you saying that it's
Do
false?
you have one?
Are you saying that it's false? Are you saying that it's
That
false?
is
That's what I'm asking
It's
you.
a tu quoque fallacy.
So are
So
there
in my
no that's
cross-examination,
not.
you don't get to ask
No,
me
that's not. You keep throwing
You
out the
don't ask
logical
me
fallacies.
questions
You're
in
not breaking.
cross-exam. It's a
You're not making
two-quoque.
sense. One second. So what you're doing right now, instead of actually arguing the points,
I don't
you're
need
arguing
narrative
the
and
source.
storytelling.
Instead
I
of
wanna know
arguing the points,
source.
Yeah.
you're arguing the source because
Hey,
you're
fellas,
having
let's
trouble
bring it
considering
back.
the source.
Fellas, let's go ahead and bring
He
it back
doesn't want to
to.
deal with the actual.
No,
Hey,
I-
Jay-
you don't
hey,
get to
Jay,
assert shit in a debate. You don't know
He
this.
doesn't want to deal with the actual
You don't
idea.
Hey,
know
Jay, I believe Marquette granted it and said that he doesn't have a source. So then what's your
granted there's no
rebuttal
source?
to that?
So that's what I'm asking you. Does that make it false then? Are you saying that it's false? Are you saying
makes
that
it an
Orthodox
assertion
monasteries
without
did not own any
evidence.
slaves?
Real quick, Marquette, let him just go ahead and address. Since you granted it, let him just go ahead and address what you
So
said.
it makes an assertion. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if, in a debate, if you can just assert stuff and they don't have to source it, then I can just assert all kinds of stuff. I can say,
Oh, good.
you understand? Do you not know how a debate works, man?
Oh, goodness, Jay.
I mean, you can laugh about it, but do you understand that in a debate,
I think
can
we both know that you're using a strategy.
Hey, Marquette, just let him
to
land his
question
plane.
everything so that you don't have to deal with the arguments and the ideas. Jay.
Marquette,
I'm
just let him
happy to
land
get
his
into
plane
the
because he's
argument.
just addressing
I'm
you
a
granting it.
Sure.
So go ahead.
I'm going to argue philosophically. So I want to know why I ought to think that what you're saying is true and that you actually have a source. And I called your bluff, and I don't think you have a source, and you don't. So
You didn't call my bluff. I said I don't have the source. It is a real fact in history. If I tell you
I
that
called your bluff
there were
about
12
Bitcoin. I
million,
think
no,
you
one
got
second.
up
I
to
told you there were
ChatGPT.
12 million enslaved persons in the transatlantic slave trade. You didn't say, what's your source? If you said, what's your source on that? I'd have to admit, you know what? I don't have a source ready to go on 12 million people being
Well,
in
I
the
think
transatlantic
numbers matter
slave trade.
when you
So
make
what's
millions.
going on right now?
Millions of people being
You don't want
oppressed,
to
that makes
engage
some-
the
sources
actual
matter.
ideas.
You don't, so sources
You don't want to
matter.
engage the actual ideas, and that's because
No.
you know that you can't win based on the history.
No, it means that you're
the
a
history
dude
of
and
Christians
you're
is
just
very
spouting out
clear.
stuff that you
The
read
history
off
of Christians is very
ChatGPT.
clear that they've done great evil, and they've leveraged
right.
the church and they've leveraged theology to do
Can you
it.
name-
Okay.
Can
Real
you
quick,
name-
it's cross-examination time and it's Jay time. Jay, you can go ahead and let me know whenever you want to go ahead and ask a question and you want Marquette to
Move on.
answer it.
Hey,
The
let's
floor is
move on.
yours. Go ahead.
So the next line of reasoning that I thought was fallacious was that you said the Bible is unclear. So listen to my argument. I know you don't want to go to the Bible. That's fine. We don't have to go to the Bible, even though Christianity is a religion based on the teaching of the Bible. But you made a fallacious argument that the Bible is unclear, therefore it can justify either position from all these people back and forth. Now, If I said there are people out there that disagree that 2 + 2 is 4, would you agree that there are people that could conceivably disagree with 2 + 2 is 4? There are people that think it's 2 + 2 is 5, right?
Carry on.
So you're not going to answer the questions in a cross-examination?
2 + 2 is 4. Sure. Carry on.
No, but I'm saying, do you think that is it possible that there are some people that think 2 + 2 is 5?
Sure.
Oh, okay. So does that have any bearing on whether 2 + 2 actually is 4?
No, the truth is incontrovertible.
Thank
but the
you.
Bible is not a
Exactly.
book of unadulterated truth. It's a book
Exactly.
of
So
contradiction, metaphor,
that's why
allegory.
it's a fallacious
and both-
line of argument.
And both slaveholder and abolitionists use the same book to justify opposing positions. So that's clarifying for you. that
Okay,
Christians
Marquett,
are-
just let him land his plane because it's his cross-examination.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why you admitted my point that it's a fallacious line of reasoning. The fact that people disagree about it has nothing to do with objectively whether or not it teaches or condones or does not teach or condone slavery. That's why it's a fallacy. So how does the Bible then lead you to the conclusion that it is a promoter of slavery if it's unclear?
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said
You keep
by
saying
citing
things that I did not
Ephesians
say.
initially.
I said that slaveholder and abolitionists both used it to justify slavery.
So Christianity,
I don't have to say that the
Christianity's
Bible.
fundamental teachings don't teach moral evil.
What's that question?
Christianity's fundamental teachings, the Bible, we'll say
Yes.
for the sake of, don't believe
Sure.
the Bible only, but
Yeah.
the Bible is a fundamental document that teaches Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying it's ambiguous on this point. That's a huge defeater for your line of argument because, well, then how are you going to say that?
No, that's not the line of argument I made. I made the line
You
of
said it was
argument that
unclear,
both
right?
abolitionists and enslavers
That means it's unclear.
both use the Christian Bible.
So it's unclear. So is it unclear?
So what you should be asking is, how is it that Christianity, your Bible,
I'm asking you a
is not
direct
producing
question.
Christians?
Is it
You're saying that your book is one that is of
Notice he's
goodness.
evading the
Real-
question.
real
He's not
quick.
answering the
Producing
question.
goodness.
Are you
Fel-
arguing that it's unclear?
Yeah.
I already answered your question.
No, you didn't. Is it unclear?
Is the Bible unclear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the Bible
So then
is
it doesn't-
unclear in various
so it
parts.
doesn't
in some
condone
parts,
slavery.
in some
So it
parts, it
doesn't
has
condone
beautiful
it.
stories that are very impactful. In
So
other
then
parts,
it
it's
doesn't
unclear.
condone it, right?
Say that again.
So on your own line of argumentation, it doesn't condone slavery, right?
No, it does condone slavery. Absolutely.
Well, wait a minute. You just said it's unclear.
It is unclear. There are
So
parts of
then-
the Bible that are
Well,
clear.
then you
and there are
don't know
parts
that
are
it. So
unclear.
then you can't say that. You just contradicted yourself.
No, I did not, sir.
Is it
What?
unclear?
No,
or does
no,
it
sir.
clearly
One
condone
second.
it?
What I told you is that the Bible has parts that are clear and has parts that are unclear.
Oh, so
and we
now
both
the
know
part-
that. We
now
both know
you
that
moved
to
the
be true.
goalpost. So
We
you
both
just
know that
committed
to
a
be true.
fallacy. You just committed you moved the
No,
goalpost. fallacy.
no, sir. That's explaining to you that a Bible may have one book that's very clear and another book that's unclear. And you and I both know that there are different
That's
books of the Bible.
moving of the goalpost because the
No, it's not.
original claim was
No,
changed.
it's not. You
to
asked
make
me
it
to
a-
elaborate, and I
that's the
elaborate.
and Bailey
quick.
and
You're
moving the
engaging a
goalpost.
straw
Fella,
man.
just a little bit of decorum. Jay Dyer, you still have time to cross-examine him, so please ask a question or make your rebuttal.
If the Bible is unclear, and then you moved it to say that, well, parts of it are unclear, how is that not moving the goalpost?
Parts of the Bible are unclear.
That wasn't the question. How is
And
that
more
not
importantly,
moving the
we
goalpost?
already talked about, I'm arguing about the deeds of Christians. You're trying to argue about the Bible because the actions of
You don't
Christians have
think
been
that-
horrendous.
You don't think that
So I
the
say that from the beginning.
You
My
don't
argument
think
is
that-
about the behavior of Christians.
Christianity is based on the Bible in part. So that's
Yes, in
why
part.
this is relevant.
But you're an
to me.
Orthodox Christian, don't you? You're into liturgy and you're into all of these different
I didn't
things.
say
that-
Marquette,
only
real
based on
quick.
the Bible.
Real quick, little bit decorum here. It's his time for cross-examination. So I know that you have a position, but you have to contend with his argument. So go ahead and just restate
Yes.
what you
So
wanted to
he's
contend
repeated
with.
the same question. I'll summarize my
It's
answer
a straw
again.
man. You're not
He
asking
keeps
me
repeating
questions.
the
Why are you
question.
asking me questions?
He's
on my
asking me,
cross-exam? That's-
is the
it's
Bible
invalid.
unclear? I say, yes, it is unclear. And then he says, are there parts of the Bible that
No, I
condone
asked
slavery?
you.
And
how
I
is
say,
it
yes,
not?
there are parts of the Bible that condone
How is
slavery.
it
It's very
not-
well known.
Okay,
No,
real quick,
so-
Marquette, let him go ahead and
question
restate the
is-
position because he's stating that you're doing a straw man. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
so the
Jay
question
Dyer.
is that he's moving the goalpost, and I'm saying, how are you not committing moving the goalpost fallacy?
What was the goalpost being moved?
Initially, the claim was the Bible is unclear. I said, then how can you say that it condones slavery? And then you retreated to moving the goalpost to say, well, parts of it condone it. Well, if
That
it's
was
unclear,
not the
then
initial
that's moving
claim.
the goalpost.
The initial statement was that the Bible is used both to justify slavery
So it's
and
unclear.
both for abolitionists. That's number
So it's
one. So that
unclear.
was the claim.
Right.
That was
So
the
you
claim.
admitted unclear.
And then you asked me if the Bible is unclear.
Right.
I
And
said,
you said
yes,
yes.
it is unclear.
Then you
You
can't
also
move the
asked
goalpost.
me if the Bible justifies slavery. I said, yes, it does also justify slavery.
If it's
And to
unclear,
give you,
then it doesn't.
and to help you
justify
with
or
a
condone.
dynamic understanding of this book, which is complex,
Let's
the
go
Bible
back.
has
So-
parts
Okay,
where it
real
is
quick,
clear,
Marquett. I
and
think
has
that
parts where it
Jay
is
Dyer
unclear.
he got time, so I think that he's asking another question for clarity. Go ahead, Jay Dyer.
2 + 2 = 4. And you admitted that there's some people that think 2 + 2 = 5. The fact that people disagree, you admitted, has nothing to do with whether 2 + 2 = 4. It's irrelevant. So the fact that multiple people disagree and your admission that it's unclear doesn't grant you the ability to say, but it condones slavery, because you would have to cancel out the claim that it's unclear. You have to argue
That's
it's
a
clear.
non sequitur.
No, it's not.
That's a
It's
non
you.
sequitur.
You're fallacious. You're arguing. You did multiple fallacies. You argued that it's unclear, and then said, "Well, but it teaches slavery." How does it teach slavery if it's unclear?
You
Then
keep
said
repeating
parts.
yourself. You
That's
should
moving the
ask a new
goalpost.
question. You've asked me that many times. I answered. You can accept the answer. What
Yeah,
else?
so next question is: you said
Yeah.
that a collective
And real quick, Jay, I'll give you an extended 2 minutes as well, just because Marquett had the extended time. Actually, it was about 3 minutes, actually, to be honest, because I was timing it.
Makes
So go
sense.
ahead.
So you
All right, what
said
you got, Jay?
you said that an empire is not made up of individuals, and that a collective isn't made up of individuals. You don't think that's ridiculous?
I did not say that. You keep
Yes, you did.
keep lying about
You
that. I did not say
absolutely
that.
said that. You said that when
I also noticed. Oh,
I
go
said
ahead.
individuals are guilty for their actions, not collective groups. And you said an empire is not individuals. That's what you said.
We can speak specifically about Christianity and Christians. I said that when Christianities use the structures of their church, they use their theology to justify their crimes against humanity, genocide, apartheid, etc., then yes, we can assign those behaviors to Christianity because it was committed by their church.
As a collective?
Yes, to their religion.
So
yes.
now you do believe in collective guilt.
I noticed that you move
You
from
said a minute ago you weren't
Christianity.
doing
You
collective
move
guilt.
from
Now you are.
Christianity. You're
now
like the
you contradicted
apostle
again.
of
Notice that you
high-minded
contradicted
abstraction.
again. He said he's
You don't
not
have to
doing
go to the
collective
abstract.
guilt.
We can
now
discuss
he is.
specifically the history.
Did you say earlier?
You don't have to go to the abstract.
He's not answering the questions. Did you say earlier that you weren't doing collective guilt, and right now you just said it is collective guilt? Is that not true?
Collective guilt was your language. What I said is that
You just affirmed it right now.
Christians,
Did you not just affirm it?
Christians who
Did you
commit
not just
ills,
affirm it?
leveraging their church and their
Moderator,
structures.
Marquett,
assign that to
could
Christianity.
you,
I asked
because
him
we,
if he affirmed, he said
yeah,
collective.
could you just answer his question directly? Same thing we did for your, cross-examination.
I said no. I already said no. I didn't engage in that.
You didn't engage in what? Because you just affirmed that it was collective. You said yes.
Are you not understanding when I speak directly to Christians and Christianity?
I asked you, is it collective? And you said yes. And then earlier you said, I'm
I
not
said
arguing
that
for collective guilt.
when
Which one is it?
Christians utilize their church to do
So it's
evil,
collective guilt
that can be assigned to Christianity.
of collective guilt.
That can be assigned to Christianity.
You're not going
when
to
they leverage the church.
Is it collective guilt or not? You've contradicted.
You don't understand what I'm saying? Like it's weird because it's like we're talking about Christianity,
again,
you're trying
he's
to
not
take it
gonna
away
answer 'cause he's caught
to
in another-
abstraction.
Okay,
I don't
so
understand
real
what
quick,
you're asking me.
okay, Jay Dyer, could you explain what collective guilt means? Then maybe we can get a direct answer, the answer that you're looking for. Go ahead.
Yeah, throughout the discussion, he's multiple times appealed to Christianity as a whole. In fact, he wanted to go with that by bringing in the Dutch and all the different groups. Christianity as a whole shares guilt, blame. It's a structure. And he even argued that a collective isn't a bunch of individuals, which it is. And I'm asking, so are you attributing collective guilt, which sin can only be individuals acting in my argumentation, and I think what the Bible teaches. So he's going to have to show how he gets from individuals to collective guilt, and he's denied it and then just recently affirmed it. So I want to know which one is there collective guilt, and how do you get to that? On what basis?
Right. So what's happening is you're attempting to put me within a frame that I'm not operating within. This has nothing to do with collective
on
guilt.
your frame, is there collective
You
guilt or
mentioned
not?
sin. I'm not talking about sin. I'm talking about the crimes of Christians who operate in an organized fashion, leveraging the church, leveraging
Is your
missionaries,
guilt for collective crime?
leveraging theology of
Is there guilt?
Christianity,
Why are you not? You weren't
and
answering
those
it.
crimes can be assigned to the church and
Is
assigned
there
to
Okay.
Christianity.
Go ahead. Let it go ahead. Jay Dyer, just last minute here. Just
there
restate the
guilt for
question. Let's see if we can get an
crime?
answer.
Is there guilt collectively for a crime?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you serious? This is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm
talking
using
about
your term,
Christians and
crime.
Christianity.
Is there collective guilt for crime?
Well, when you say guilt, that usually would be assigned to like a human being. I'm
Thank you, an
assigning,
individual.
I'm
So how are you
assigning
arguing? So
to
it's invalid.
Christianity. I'm saying that the actions of
So you
Christians
conceded
in
the
an
debate,
organized fashion, the actions of the church, of missionaries,
That's a collective
the
group.
theology
You
that
keep
justifies,
shifting.
that can
You
be
shift
assigned to
between
Christianity
this
because they
Okay.
did it as an
hardcore fallacy.
organized group of Christians.
You're
All right.
shifting between individuals and collectives, and that's why it's a fallacy.
Okay, all right, fellas. That's the end of the cross-examination. Let's hop into open dialogue because it sounds like that's what y'all want to do anyway. So let's go ahead and hop into open dialogue. We'll do 30 minutes of this. We'll put the 15-minute timer, then I'll bring it back to another 15. I'm going to sit back and chill. You guys are heavy hitters in your own way. You guys could try to create some decorum yourselves now. So go ahead. Let's have some fun and let's
Will
debate.
you do a poll too, by the way? Or no?
Sure, I'll go ahead and bring up a poll. Marquett, you're okay with a poll?
Poll on what?
Just a poll on winner or loser. That's what I'm guessing you're suggesting,
Yep.
Jay Dyer. Are you okay with that, Marquette?
I don't care.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, just to be fair. Okay, cool. The floor is yours. Go ahead, have at it.
Go ahead.
And we can remember that we're discussing if Christianity is a good thing, a good force in the world, right? We're not going back and forth on doctrine. I'm talking about the actual actions of Christians. Seems as though you need to move to the realm of abstraction.
You don't think ethics are in the abstract?
I'm asking you why we can't simply discuss.
Yeah, let's talk about ethics.
Christian
Fine.
did this.
How do we know what are
this
the
was
ethics?
the outcome. It was
What's
negative.
the ethical system?
And
that you're
why
referring
is it scaling across different Christian societies, across the Dutch, the English, the French, the Portuguese, the Americans,
Okay.
and they're all Christian?
I could argue that all men have engaged in these types of activities because
Sure.
they are fallen human beings. So that's why is that not a equally applicable?
And what
answer?
I'm trying to understand is if Christianity is a good system, why is Christianity not producing Christians?
Well, again,
Because the idea is that Christians, behave morally.
and what is it in your mind? What does that mean?
If we could avoid the definition game, it's
So I don't know what you mean by a true Christian or what's good. What do you think that is?
we defined Christian earlier, so we don't have to keep going back and forth on that. And I know you're trying to slow
No, now
the
you're
discussion
saying a
down.
good
You're trying to
Christian.
slow the discussion down so that we don't have to address the ideas.
You
we don't have
agreed
to address
to-
the crimes.
But you agreed to
So
a
what I'm asking you
agreed
is,
to baptism,
what I'm asking you,
profession of faith.
sure. What I'm asking you
And now you're
is,
asking for where's the ethical?
why
perfect Christian?
do we observe these horrors among people who say that they're Christians? And you've stated that Christianity is a system that produces goodness. Christianity is a good thing. Then why do we see the genocide, the eradication of the Native Americans?
Because Christianity doesn't say that humans can't still sin.
So like, where's the goodness? Like, where's the goodness that, like, why do we find consistently that Christians are creating mass death?
So what is the goodness that you're expecting?
Well, tell me,
perfection.
what is the goodness that we should expect from Christians, since you're the Orthodox
I think
Christian?
we have the 10 Commandments. We have, the moral law.
In terms of like behavior in the world, not in terms of your scripture, in terms of like the behavior in the real world.
That is what our system would be. You're asking me what the good is. The good
Right.
is.
So is
Oh,
one
I
of the
didn't think that.
commandments, thou shalt not kill?
Sure.
Okay. So the mass murder of the Native Americans is a egregious violation of that. This was put into law. As I mentioned earlier, we find that Christian societies overwhelmingly have justified this. America was a Christian organization or Christian country. There's even the claim that Americans came here for religious freedom, which is not the whole story.
Well, I don't know
So-
that I don't even have to grant that America's Christian, but even if I did, how does this get you to the conclusion that
So no, what I'm asking is, how do you get to the conclusion that Christianity is a force for good? And you mentioned your 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill.
So
And we find that the mass
because-
murder of the
Yeah,
Native
because I have an
Americans
account for
occurred
the
under
good.
Christians.
I have an account for the good that includes the possibility of free will and humans still committing fallacious, evil, vile actions.
Uh-huh. So at what
So
point
what is
like based on what criteria, at what point do we say Christianity is a system for good that's any better than say communism or Islam or Satanism?
Yeah, it's my paradigm. It's the 10 Commandments and all the things I listed. Obviously, I'm going to argue for my paradigm's
Sure.
conception of the good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what I'm asking you is at what point, like where's the breaking point to where we say this stuff doesn't work, we should throw it away because it's in allowing genocide, allowing enslavement, allowing all of these horrible things.
But how do you get logically to the conclusion, maybe you can, that because individuals commit these actions, it's the fault of the religion?
Sure. I didn't say it's the fault of the religion. I'm saying that while they are Christians and also leveraging Christian systems, the Christian church, Christian theology, Christian missionaries, while all of those things exist, they're still engaging in mass murder. So I'm saying at what point do we decide that Christianity maybe is not a good thing or no better than communism, socialism, atheism?
You would have to demonstrate.
So I'm asking you, what would
you would
the
have to
criteria?
show-
Because you mentioned that thou shalt not kill. And I said, well, thou has killed millions of people. So at what point is it too many to where someone like you would say that we should throw this away?
It's a fallacious line of argumentation.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm asking you a question. At what point would you say we should throw this away?
Do you know what a genetic fallacy is?
I do. But I'm asking you,
what is it?
At what point do we say we should throw this away?
What is it?
Do you notice you keep on bogging down and like, what's the
I've been
definition
answering your
of
questions
this?
for the last
What's
5
your
minutes.
source on
What's
this?
a
So I'm
genetic
asking
fallacy?
you, at what point do we throw Christianity away with millions, hundreds of millions of people killed or enslaved?
It's a fallacious
Global
line
genocide.
of reasoning because it's a genetic fallacy. So can you tell me what that is?
So you're saying that there's no time in which we should throw away Christianity, like no matter what Christians do?
What I'm trying to tell you is that if you want to debate this, and you could be a much better debater if you would listen to the line of argumentation.
No,
it would make you better.
What I'm telling you is that you keep running. You can't establish the goodness of Christianity. All you can do is run back to your book that is customizable and
I
fictional.
listed good.
So all you can do is run back to the book. But what you're not
examples.
able to do is explain how your religion is a force for good that prevents Christians from behaving so poorly. What I'm forwarding is the idea that Christianity probably has acted as the organizing force for the evil. Like Christians aren't any better than anyone else in the society.
There's nothing about the good in the Christian belief or system, as I would give an account for it, that necessitates that it will bring about perfection, utopia, or remove human free will short of the eschaton.
Well, that's a slippery slope. We're not asking for perfection. We're just trying to avoid genocide. So
now you've moved the goalpost because you said murder. Now you said genocide. So you moved.
No, I already said genocide many times because we referenced the Native Americans. Again, you're lying. So what I'm asking,
I'm not lying. You just keep flipping. You keep going. You do Mott and Bailey. Where you know what a Mott and Bailey fallacy is.
So what I'm asking you is this: at what point do we figure out if this system is worth holding on to? It does not appear to be outperforming other systems.
Okay, based on what metric? The performance is going to be based on some metric.
Literally asking you that. I'm literally
answering your questions, and I gave you a list of goods that Christianity gave in my opening statement.
What you did when I said, well, at what point you said, well, it's not supposed to create a utopia. Well, yeah, no one said that. No one suggested that. That's quite extreme. But what I am saying, what I am saying is that we would expect that if a Christian nation is in fact Christian, then we would not observe slavery, we would not observe genocide, we would not observe colonization.
It's a fallacy.
And
it doesn't follow from that. Okay. It doesn't logically follow that because
one moment, you don't have to interrupt me.
That they will necessarily follow.
You don't have to. You don't have to interrupt me. So what I'm asking you,
it doesn't follow. You keep asking
one
questions
moment.
That are fallacious.
Calm down. What I'm asking you, and you don't have to say it's a fallacy because I'm not arguing. I'm asking you a question.
You can have a fallacious
question. What I'm asking you is, at what point do we say that this system is not producing overall good because we find that a significant number of Christians organize around
But I need to know the metric because you're saying that it's not producing this overall good. What's the metric that we would determine when it does and doesn't?
That's what I'm asking you, sir. That's what I'm asking you.
I come from a Christian paradigm, so I think Christianity has helped many nations. So what's the metric that you're saying it's failed? What's the metric?
I'm asking you.
So you're not going to answer any question.
I'm asking you. You're trying to flip the question. I've been asking you for 5 minutes. You're trying to flip the question onto me, but I've been asking you, when do we figure out if we throw this away?
And my answer is
How
that
many,
you
like,
don't
at what
throw it
level
away
do the
because
commandments have to be violated?
it's a fallacious line of questioning based on a metric that I don't know what it is. So you want me to answer based on this metric that you have that it's failed to meet what metric?
For me, definitely genocide is a failure.
Okay,
For Christianity, definitely mass enslavement is a failure. Colonization of other countries and peoples is a failure.
Could any
if you look at the Catholics, the amount of sexual abuse of minors, that's a huge failure. And these are often systemic.
All right, so this guy doesn't want to have a discussion.
Okay, good. No, go ahead.
Could any ethical discussion, or excuse me, any ethical system, whether it's communism, whether it's a cult or whatever, is it not possible for the people in those groups to violate the principles of that group?
That's actually not what we're talking about.
I'm asking you a question. What is that?
Okay, no, real quick. Let me see if I can create some decorum, because now I'm having a little bit a hard time to understand exactly what's going on. So, Marquett, could you state the question with an example besides Christianity and the things that people do in Christianity, maybe so he can understand to answer your question?
Well, I think he does understand. And as I said, being a religious person, it necessitates that you have to lie because you have to protect your religion. Even if you look at the data, there's a negative correlation that's statistically significant that atheists have 6 IQ points higher than religious people.
Okay, and what's the source for that?
And I'm not saying you're an idiot. I'm just saying that maybe. I'm just saying that maybe you learn religion very. I'm saying that you learn religion maybe very early in life.
For that? Why?
And now you're hanging on to it because I know that you've changed.
What's the source?
You've changed from Protestant to you were Calvinist. You were
so now he's
Roman
doing that
Catholic, and now you're an Orthodox. So you find a way to hang on to it, because if you were to say, "Hey, religion is
psychological
false,"
report, it's
if you say
irrelevant to the
religion
debate.
is false, what you would have to do
psychological
throw away
I don't. There's no point in me
40
being here.
years worth of
Okay, let's create some decorum. Let's create some decorum real quick. So real quick,
the source for atheists of a hierarchy.
So what you'd have to do is throw away 40 years of belief. I get that. Now, let me answer your question, Cooley. 1 second. Don't interrupt. Let me answer your question, Cooley. So if we use a different religion, if we were using Islam, and I said that you all engaged in the trans-Saharan slave trade for 1,300 years, and these were Muslims engaging the slave trade, and this slave trade occurred in Muslim lands. And
this guy just wants to talk. This is not where's the argument?
Marquett, could you just restate the question?
No, you just asked me to give an example. Cool.
No, I do want that.
Religion, right?
Yeah. The example of a different religion. So, for an example, like,
so you just asked me that. So I was giving you the example of Islam and the
great. That's good.
Slave trade. You asked me that, right?
Yes. Yeah, sure. You're good.
So
Go ahead.
I was responding to what you said, right?
Yes. You're laying your plane. Yep. You're good.
Great. So that would be the example. I'd say, well, how do you justify Islam being a force for good, where you've done this horror for 1,300 years, and it was done by Muslims, and it was organized, and they used the institutions of Islam.
So if atheists have a higher IQ, then collectively I can ask the same argument to illustrate why it's a fallacy, that if atheists committed genocide in the Soviet Union and killed 20 million Orthodox Christians, or if the Chinese killed 60 million people, those are genocides. So therefore, atheism is not a just viable system by this line of argumentation. That's
atheism is not a system of ideas. For example, you use the situation of the Russians. You're talking about the Soviets, right? The communists. And so communists were anti-religious. And so it made sense that they were basically trying to eradicate this from their society. Yes, communists are necessarily atheists. Correct.
Well, actually, they're not, but there's plenty of communists.
No, actually, they are.
No, there are plenty of communists who are not atheists. That's not true.
Communists are necessarily atheists.
No, they're not.
Have you read Das Kapital?
I have, actually. I had grad classes on it.
Very good. And you would know that the communists of Russia are necessarily atheists. And what's the source? Dr. A. James Greger. But again, this is not the actual topic. The topic is Christianity a force for good?
Are there Christian socialists?
And you failed to establish that.
Are there Christian socialists? Are there Christian socialists?
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
So then they're not all necessarily atheists.
I'll give you an example.
You're fundamentally uneducated.
I'll give you an example. The
I don't
Christians.
need you to filibuster.
I'll give you an example.
You said atheists are that Marxists are only atheists.
I didn't say Marxist. Now you're lying. I said communist. See, so now
Okay,
you're lying. See, you're lying now. No one said Marxist. You're lying now. You got to stop that. You got to stop that.
You cited Das Kapital, dude.
You said Marxist.
You said Das Kapital.
So now you're lying. I said communists, and we both know that.
Are there communists that believe in God?
You're not supposed to be a religious communist. Communism is anti-religious.
That's not the question. But do they exist? You said they don't.
Again. Stay on the topic. Stay on the topic. The topic is Christianity a force for good?
I'm going to call it out. Is
Christianity a force for good? You don't believe you can justify that.
In Moscow.
So you would like to talk about everything else. Just imagine someone coming to a debate and trying to talk about the topic, and you're engaging a red herring.
Why can't you just say, you know what, you're right about that?
All right, fellas, let's try to create some decorum to get both of you to answer one another questions.
So if you're going to say something ridiculous, I have to call it out because it's a fallacious line of argumentation.
No, you're just trying to avoid the fact that Christians have done horrors on the planet Earth, and you cannot justify it as a force for good. It is no better than any other system of ideas. There's no evidence.
Let me ask you what the good is in your system.
I haven't defined any system. I asked you what the good should be in Christianity. How do we define Christianity? What's the criteria
according to you? What's your account of the good?
Real quick for you, Jay. It's okay. He probably didn't hear you. So when you guys both speak at the same time, Marquett, the way his audio is set up, it kind of pushes your audio down a little bit. So if you can just restate that question.
So I've argued for Christianity for the whole time. I've given a bunch of, in my opening statement, for example, transcendental argument. He can disagree with all that, fine. Sure. I want to know now what his account of the good is in his worldview.
So you're a very metaphysical guy. That's fantastic. What I'm telling you is that the actions of Christians as an organization have been consistently
What is
wicked.
your account of the good?
And we're not here to discuss my account of the good.
No, we are, because it's in the prompt.
We're not. We're here to establish that Christianity is a force for good. And you being the Christian, I asked you to define at what point have they failed to meet the minimum requirements of good as a collective.
Commandments. You could disagree with that. Now I want to ask, what is your account of the good?
So again, you're trying to get into abstraction and definition.
No, it's
we're arguing about Christianity being a force for good.
You don't have to define the good.
I'm not the Christian. I'm not the Christian.
I know.
So you tried to define on an individual basis your 10 commandments, and then I said, does that apply to the whole?
You're saying it's wrong to commit genocide. On what basis?
Yeah, it is wrong.
On what basis? I agree it's wrong, but I have a basis. What's your basis?
I think it's a silly conversation.
I don't care what you think it's silly or not. What's the argument for why it's bad?
You're asking me why genocide is...
What is your ethical argument for why it's wrong?
Carry on, please. So
it's just silliness. So the debate's over. You conceded the debate. You don't have a justification for the good. You
cannot speak to the facts and the historical happenings, and in the absence of being able to justify, in the absence of being able to justify what has occurred on this earth.
What is your justification?
You retreat to what is in your head,
fellas.
When you step into reality, your ideas.
None of this.
Fellas, allow one another to land their plane so the audience can hear. So again, Marquett, to be honest, your microphone does supersede his a little bit. So when you're speaking and he's speaking, trust me, his microphone is going down and they can hear you, but they can't really hear him that good. So we kind of need the back and forth to go properly. Jay Dyer, just restate the position again.
Yeah.
Or the question.
It's in the prompt of the debate that the good is in question, and is Christianity good? I gave multiple arguments as to why I think that is the case. It's only fair in the last couple minutes that I also asked, because he's critiquing Christianity on the basis of some secular good, it appears. I want to know what his account of the good is. It's a fair question.
That wasn't the question. You just asked me, why is genocide bad?
On what basis?
So now you're asking me, what is good?
What is the good that you're using to measure that Christianity is not good? What is it?
So I'll restate it again.
So you
can keep re-asking the question. It's just a debate tactic. Everyone can tell you.
It's not. You're using the good and an ethic. So what is your ethic?
I'm pointing out to you that Christianity is no better a system than any other system.
Why is it bad?
And that is because the fact of the Native American genocide, the transatlantic
why is it wrong?
enslavement.
Give an account.
Monasteries themselves, including
He doesn't. He's just telling.
monasteries themselves have owned slaves.
Storytelling isn't an account.
That's not storytelling. Those are historical facts. And
it's not telling you why your ethic
I deal
is
with
right.
what is.
So maybe I can bridge this gap. I think
that
I am asking
Christianity
you an
doesn't
ethical
produce
question.
good.
You don't want to
It's
talk
very
about
simple.
it.
Yeah, fellas, maybe I can bridge this gap. So, Marquett, when you were stating your question, you didn't feel that his answer satisfied your question because you were asking a question in regards to, if, Christianity does all of these things historically.
Did you notice my question?
When should we throw away?
You notice my question was about Christianity, which is on
Yes.
top.
Yeah.
Notice
Yep.
that?
Yeah. I'm
He's
aware.
just trying to debate abstraction, because when you test Christianity in reality, outside of the mind, you test it in reality, it fails. So
Okay,
that's
I
why
got
he
you,
wants to
Marquette.
go abstraction. It's just a
Let me.
in the mind.
I just want to create some decorum for you guys. So, Marquette, your position was again, hey, Christianity does all of these evils in history. When should we throw away Christianity? When should we throw it out the door because it does all of these evils? He was giving you an answer like he tried to explain it before, like math.
What
as
was
far
the answer?
as far as math,
No, not math. We don't need to talk about
He
math.
didn't-
What was
actually,
the
he-
specific
he
answer
actually
as to
never-
when Christianity fails and
well,
you're like, we should throw it away?
Yeah, so
I
he
wanna know
actually
on what
never
metric.
answered. He
What
actually
metric?
didn't answer that particular question because he said it was fallacious on the grounds of like if we
And I
think about
reject that.
math.
I
And
reject
I know.
that. It's
Yep,
not
I know you
fallacious.
rejected it.
So,
So if we
where's the
think if we think about math real quick, I just want to try to create some decorum. If we think about math, like 1 + 1 = 2, that's a system of math.
Sure.
Got it. So if other people think that 1 + 1 = 17, those people will be wrong, but the system of math would not be wrong. This is why he said that he couldn't really answer the question because the system of Christianity wouldn't be wrong. So
No,
that
that's
was
a non
like,
sequitur.
okay, so there we go.
No,
There we go. If that doesn't
you
follow,
admitted
then
that you already
then
no.
Marquette, please argue that then.
Yeah.
I think that's a good conversation there.
You admitted that it was a good line of argument.
No.
Yeah, you did.
No, it's terrible. You've not made any legitimate arguments. You've only tried to escape to
How is that
metaphysical ideas.
How is that terrible?
Your religion completely reveals a history of bloodshed and horror. Even those who
and
say that they're
no
Christian,
ethic,
for example.
no account of the ethic.
Listen,
15 more minutes, guys.
for example, why is it that the Christians gave a doctored Bible to the blacks in the Caribbean whom they were enslaving? Well, what's that about?
How about I just concede they were evil?
Those Christians were evil.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Very good.
How does that disprove Christianity?
I never tried to disprove Christianity.
That's the prompt of the debate. Is it true? So you're not going to debate the prompt?
So you heard
Is
my
that the prompt?
opening statement. You heard my
What's the
opening
prompt?
statement. And in my opening statement, I said that,
What is the prompt?
calm down, calm down. In my
So
opening
you said
statement,
you're not going to argue whether it's
calm
true.
down, calm down.
I'm not calming down when
Calm
you just
down.
got caught. You said you're
So
not going to argue whether it's
calm
true.
down. You can rewind to my opening statement. I said,
Again,
is
what the
Christianity
prompt?
true?
I'm
Is
gonna appeal
not
to
very
the moderator.
interesting.
Julie, the prompt
What I
is
stated
true.
specifically is that I want to talk about
I
the
don't care what you want to talk
specifics
about.
of
You agree to
Christian.
the prompt.
I said it in the opening statement,
Is
and you
it
heard
true?
it
Is it the
then.
prompt?
All right,
You heard it
all right,
then.
fellas, let's just create a little bit decorum because
The prompt
This guy is very
He says, "I don't care
frustrated
if
because
it's
he
true."
can't deal in reality. He just wants to discuss abstraction.
I got
he just
you.
wants to discuss his
So-
True
fictional
and
book.
good are metaphysics and epistemology. dude.
the prompt, to be fair to both of you guys and also the audience, the prompt is Christianity true? And is it good for all people? Jay Dyer is asking you a question about, is it true?
And you said,
No.
I don't care if it's true. That's
No, it's
against
not
the
true.
prompt.
I don't find it to be a very interesting conversation. To have
Then
a
why did
conversation
you
with a
agree to debate
religious
on it?
person, to have
Why
a
did you
conversation with a
agree to
religious
debate it, you
person, say, "Hey,
goober?
your religion is fake and false."
You're
I
a
mean, that doesn't get us
goober because
anywhere.
You agreed to a prompt.
What?
You don't
What
even know what
instead?
it is.
That's fine. You don't have to talk while I'm talking. So what I'm here to do,
Is
as
it the
I
prompt?
stated, is I am interested in the last part, which is Christianity a force for good?
So you don't want
And
to
then I
debate the
gave you
prompt.
all the
So you
examples
are you
that
conceding the
history.
debate?
Calm down. I gave you all the examples that your history is one of
Are you conceding
bloodshed
the prompt?
and abuse of children, women, and men.
I'm not.
So
If
it
he's
is
not
not
going to
good.
debate the prompt, then
Okay.
It is not good.
So
So inherently, if we argue that Christianity is not a force of good, then clearly the subtext is that it is
sophist.
not
I mean,
true.
with the
To be
subtext,
fair,
not even
to,
doing the
to be
prompt.
fair to both of you, how about we just do this? Because Jay Dyer did have a question. Marquette, Marquette's answer did not satisfy Jay Dyer. So let's just go ahead and throw away the side. Is Christianity
Well,
true?
my
And
questions
real
were
quick,
never
I know-
answered on his part.
Yeah, I know it was. I know you wasn't satisfied either. I agree.
Declined to answer 3 questions.
I agree.
Why
I agree.
should I answer when you don't want to debate the prompt?
So real quick. Real quick. I think we got a place of we can agree. Jay Dyer, you asked the question, what is the good that Marquett is judging Christianity? Marquett does want to debate that second part, so let's just keep it there. He wants to debate, is Christianity good for all people?
Cooley, did you hear the part? You said, what is the good that I'm judging Christianity on? And I'm saying mass murder is not good.
Okay,
I'm saying genocide is not good.
So assertions. Why?
Correct. And the difference is that
Can you make assertions? Can I make assertions?
I hear you, Jay.
You're not hearing it.
Your
You're not hearing
goal on here. Your goal on here is to win a debate.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's a debate, and you're saying I don't want to
Fantastic.
debate.
No, that's really good. That's really good. And my goal on here is to counter the proselytizing that Christians do.
But
so
that's
I
not
know
what
that
this
people
is.
with common sense. I know
So
people
you're
with
not here
common
to
sense.
debate?
Calm down.
So
you don't
he's
have to
conceding
calm
that
down.
he's
You're
not
a
here to
Christian.
debate.
Don't you guys have some decorum? Just stop.
Hey,
talking on that.
fellas, real quick. How about we stick
Calm down
on
for a
one
second.
particular point? If we're speaking about is Christianity good for all people,
Right.
I think that Marquett, and you said that that's what you want to focus on. So I'm trying to create some balance
and I was
here.
talking, but he keeps interrupting. It's kind of strange.
Okay, got it. Real quick.
Genocide bad?
He
Got
keeps
it. So,
interrupting.
fellas, real quick.
And
Let
just
me
like he
give
said
me
that he's
1
asked
minute,
illegitimate
fellas. Let me
questions.
just get 1 minute for both of you and also the audience. Marquette, you said that you want to debate the second part. I'm the moderator. I'm going to let you do that. Sure. Jay Dyer actually has a question on the second part of the prompt, which is Christianity good? His question was, what is your account for the good? So maybe we can start there so we can get some understanding. Is Christianity actually good or not? Since you guys want to debate that second part. So. Floor is yours. Jay Dyer, if you want to go ahead and ask a question.
What is your account of the good? It's in the prompt.
You're asking me to define good.
Why is it bad to genocide? On your ethic.
I think this is a stupid question. Like, are you going
So the
somewhere with
debate
that?
itself is stupid. Why did you take it?
No, the debate could be meaningful if you were not in bad faith. If you're here saying, well, why is murder bad? Why is
On your
genocide
system, why is it bad? I agree it's bad.
I'm
but
not here to
why?
argue my system. That's the beauty, is I don't have to defend anything. You're defending Christianity. So what you really should be asking is,
But you have an account of the
why
good.
are Christians engaging in things that are knowingly bad? Unless you're
You have an
suggesting
account,
that
which
genocide is not
we
bad.
have free will.
Are
and
you
humans
suggesting
can
that genocide is not bad?
we have a free will and humans can still sin?
Yes,
So I want to
that's
know. It's a
phenomenal.
fair question to you.
I would
Why?
not debate free will with anyone.
I don't care what you want to debate about. I'm saying that's my answer. You can like it or not.
Very good.
That's
Very good.
not in.
And I'll tell you my answer. My answer is to why is genocide bad? I don't have an answer because I don't have a system to defend. So now,
So then, how can you say that it's universally wrong to engage in these activities?
right, very good. So you're saying that the genocide that occurred under Christians may not be wrong. Is that your suggestion?
No, I'm saying why, if I adopt your system, is it wrong?
You're not adopting my system. I never
I am
said
in
that I
this
have a
argument.
system. I
It's an
never
internal
proposed a
critique.
system. So again, you're
An
lying.
internal critique of your argument.
creating a
Why
straw
audit?
man. You're lying. I never said I had a system. I've not established.
Everybody has a
any-
system.
I've
What
never
do you mean?
established any criteria.
It's
We're talking about
impossible to not have
Christianity.
a system.
And what we're observing is that
You
your
appeal to
inability to
ethics.
defend the actual
Hold on.
behaviors.
You do have a
now
system.
you're trying to
You're
go on the
lying.
attack. You cannot
lying
defend.
because
So
you're
now you're
saying
trying
you
to
don't
attack.
have a
It's very
system when
simple.
you
Fellas, one mic at a time. Let one another speak. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
He's
Jay.
saying he doesn't have a system when
Correct.
he's appealing to ethics and saying that it's bad. On what basis?
On no basis. And now I'm asking
Thank
you.
you. So no basis.
Now I'm asking
he
you
has
as a
no
Chri-
argument against Christianity. It's
Now I'm asking
conceded.
you as a Christian, do you find that the genocides that have been committed by Christians are okay? Like they're
No,
morally?
it's wrong. And I said why? Because humans have the ability to still commit sins and crimes.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing inconsistent with Christianity about that.
Sure. And if the gospel or the scriptures are saying one thing and then the adherents in an organized fashion, organizing with other members of the church are doing things that are in direct contradiction, at what point do we acknowledge that Christianity can't produce Christians?
It's a no true Scotsman's fallacy to assume that the only true Christians would meet up to some arbitrary standard that you're setting that I don't even know what it is. So within
Well,
Christianity,
I actually thought it was you using the no true Scotsman fallacy,
you can think that,
suggesting
but-
that people are not Christians because they don't meet
I
your
simply said
narrow
I'm not gonna
definition of
defend those
orthodoxy.
groups. No, I simply said I don't defend those groups, and I don't have to because it's not my position.
Okay. Was the Byzantine Empire, were they Orthodox?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they have slaves?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Were they only black?
I didn't suggest that they were not.
Hold on. So if they're not, and if other groups engage in
I think
it,
that's peripheral, actually. So what we're talking, we're not talking about black and white. We're not talking about race right now, Jay. We're talking about.
You came to the. You argue that it's not good for
Jay,
black people.
you're getting off topic again.
You argue.
Getting off topic.
Why are you so dishonest, man?
You just said they're not black. So now you're engaging a red herring.
No, I'm not. I'm illustrating.
Hold on one second. You're moving the goalpost now. You're moving the goalpost. Jay, I got you. Calm down one second. You're moving the goalpost.
I'm not.
You said, hey, these other people are not Christians. I said, cool. Are you an Orthodox Christian? You said yes. I said, we're the Byzantines, Orthodox Christians. You said yes. I said, fantastic. Did they own slaves? Then you said yes.
We don't need a rehearsal.
They weren't black. I didn't suggest that they were black. That is actually not germane.
I'm making an argument about this. I'm saying
that's not germane to the current argument. So what I'm asking you now,
if you let me flesh this out, because
flesh it out.
Okay, just one mic at a time, fellas. Go ahead.
Flesh it out.
Can I flesh this out?
Yeah, flesh it out.
The reason I'm saying that is that not only did they have multiple types of a slave class, including there is such a thing as white slavery, which is, and also there is the African slave trade. So by this line of argumentation, the African indigenous religions that enslaved other trades would also be necessarily false, but you were trying to argue that the African indigenous religions were violated by Christianity. So all of this is based on arbitrary assertions, and it's all ad hoc.
Are you finished fleshing? I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. So now talking about the Byzantine Orthodox Christians who owned slaves. So you do defend these Christians because they're part of your church, right?
I don't know how many times I have to say this. I can say that it was wrong, but
I'm just asking you because I don't want you to say, well, I'm not from the Byzantine Empire. I'm just trying to make sure that we're talking about a group of Christians that you identify with. That's all I'm asking.
This is a worthless.
You don't have to filibuster. I'm just asking you, do you identify with this group of Christians? It's just a simple question.
Do you realize that like you already lost like 85%?
Just calm down. I'm asking you, do you identify? Okay, very good. I'm asking you, do you identify with this group of Christians?
I just said that I disagree with specific actions.
It was a yes or no question.
Marquett, since your microphone pushes his down, if you could just allow him to at least land the plane.
I said a yes or no question. Do you identify with this group of Christians who are also Orthodox Christian? And then
I identify with all Orthodox Christians, yes, and I admit that they commit sin. So what?
Fantastic.
How does this disprove Christianity?
I'm not trying to disprove Christianity.
Then you're to lose. Then you haven't come to the debate. Thank you.
Very good. So
you don't care about the prompt. So again, you don't care about the prompt.
Why do you keep cutting me off? Can you calm down?
Because you're lying about what the prompt is.
Can you calm down? Just calm down.
Why are you lying, dude?
Why do you keep repeating yourself? It's like you're scared to have a discussion.
You don't care to
calm down. Just calm down.
If he doesn't care to,
I'm trying to speak to you about the topic.
Hey, fellas, let's just create some little decorum. You guys are professionals, all right? So.
I'm gonna say if he's not, I'm not gonna reply anymore. If he's conceded that he's not gonna deal with the prompt, he says he doesn't care about disproving Christianity when it's the frickin' prompt.
Jay, is the prompt also about Christianity being a good thing? We're talking about Orthodox Christians, and I'm asking you about the enslavement and the ownership of
with saying that all
and the ownership of slaves.
They all do slavery. Was there an African slave trade?
That's not the current topic.
I'm asking you a simple question.
So all groups do it. Topic. That's not
you're
the current topic,
and evading an obvious
Jay,
fact.
that's not the current topic, Jay.
Okay, so he doesn't want to go there because he knows it refutes his argument.
No, it's because it's just not the current topic.
Did indigenous tribes enslave other Africans?
Not the current topic.
Did they?
Jay.
Just did they?
You know, we all know the answer. It's just not the current topic. That's not what we're talking about.
So this is how dishonest you are. You can't deal with your own history.
Jay, what do you mean my own history? Jay, what do you mean my own history? What are you
so you're not identifying with black people?
What? Are you on topic?
You mentioned
you're way off
statement. How is that not on topic?
Jay, you're way off topic. I know every time we start talking about the actual topic of Christians and Christianity,
did African tribes
want to talk about other
tribes? Did they?
What is the relevance of that to the current topic, Jay? I'm going to yield the floor. Take me through the logic.
Because it's not unique to Christianity. So it's
I never said it was unique. In fact, I earlier stated that The Muslims have also done this.
So
But
then it's not a good argument against Christianity. You should see that.
no, sir. No, sir. It is pointing out that if
When you admit that.
Christianity is a force for good and Christianity is being used to organize evil
You
and
haven't
the
demonstrated
structures
that.
of the church,
You haven't
the
demonstrated that.
theology of the church, and the missionaries are being used to engage cultural erasure, commit genocide, and create laws to justify their evil, then we cannot suggest that Christianity is a good force. And this has occurred
If you
across
admit
all of the
that the
dominations.
other people groups that are oppressed engaged in the same activities, then it proves my line of argumentation that it's not. Why
It just
interrupting me, dude?
proves- Okay,
Why
go
you
ahead.
interrupting when you know you're losing bad?
Go ahead.
If every people group, including your own history and people group, engaged in these activities, then it's a universal human vice to engage in these types of things. So it's not a good argument against Christianity because it would disprove every system. That's why.
Neat. So what I'm pointing out to you is that if Christianity is the force for good, then what is ailing the world or the worldly people should not be preponderant among the Christians because they are supposed to have a value.
No, that's a fallacy.
You're interrupting
It's
me
a
again. You're interrupting
No,
me.
I'm just
again.
telling you that's a fallacious
Well,
line
when
of
I was
argument.
you claimed I was interrupting you. Now you're interrupting me.
Yeah, just let him land his plane.
So what you're suggesting is that Christians are no better than any other group.
No.
You're also using the tuco fallacy and suggesting, well, they did it too, which that doesn't make it okay or any better. And furthermore, the truth, again, you're interrupting, you have no self-control. And again, the fact of the matter is that slavery in different places was radically different. For example, scholar Leonardo Ariola, who's an expert in African politics, points out that African slavery was radically different than that which was practiced by European Christians, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Americans. So that
radically different. How?
Why do you keep talking? Wait, why do you keep talking?
Different how?
Why do you keep interrupting?
Different how?
It's almost like you don't want me to.
It's a fair question.
Why do you keep interrupting?
Different how?
Why do you keep
You guys can
interrupting?
have the back and forth, fellas. Go ahead, fellas. Have the back and forth. Do it.
He's just reading ChatGPT again.
No, that's funny that you say that. Because, for example, in the African context, you don't become a slave through birth. Typically, you're becoming a slave by being a POW or owing a debt or being a criminal. It was not racialized in the African context.
Oh, okay. So that's the good slavery.
No, sir. Furthermore, why do you keep interrupting? It's like weird. You asked me.
All right, fellas, that's the time for the open dialogue. Do you guys want to extend this out for a little bit?
No, I don't want to extend it. But you asked me for a question. You asked me a question, then I start answering. You interrupt, ask another question. I start answering it again, and then you interrupt. You interrupt yes again. It's really strange.
Okay, fellas.
You're a very maladjusted person, and I find it very strange that
can we go to closing statements?
Yeah, fellas, we're going to do closing statements.
Yeah. Whine, complain.
Fellas, we're going to do closing statements. Both of you are going to have 5 minutes. Marquett, since Jay went...
I'll finish it last. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, actually, how it works is since Jay took the affirmative position and he went first, he gets to decide if he wants to go last or first with the closing statement.
He can go. I'll go last.
Sure.
Okay, Marquett, the floor is yours.
Nick. The argument was about, is Christianity a force for good? When we take Christianity and hold it up against other systems, we see that it doesn't perform any better than Islam, than communism, than any other major system that has affected the masses of the earth. We find that the Christians have engaged in the eradication largely of the Native American. They've engaged in the enslavement of the African. They've engaged into colonization around the whole planet Earth. They've even leveraged their theology, their missionaries to destroy culture, to use the church itself to enact their evil. They don't even believe in their own Bible, because if you believe the Bible is truly divine and of God, why would you try to recraft that which God created? They created a fake edited Bible and gave it to the blacks who were enslaved so that they could enslave the mind in addition to the body. The actions of Christians across the world as a collective organized, and this is true of all of the denominations, have been utterly vicious. And what often happens among Christians is that they use the no true Scotsman's fallacy. Oh, he's not a real Christian. Oh, these are heretics. well, we'd have to be talking about entire countries and entire societies and talking about hundreds of years of history. No, this is quintessentially Christianity as organized by the leaders. The clergy justified this. You can find the Pope justifying this. You can find everywhere that there's Christianity, you'll find bloodshed. Christianity is not for Black people. Christianity is no superior force for good. I yield the floor.
All right. Thank you for that closing, Marquett. Jay, the time is yours when you start speaking.
All right. So debates are essentially in the domain of philosophy, logically and necessarily. That's what they are. They are guided by the rules of logic, the laws of logic, and critical thinking. So that means that when the other person violates those things, they have to be called out. And this debate was about two philosophical conceptions. Is Christianity true, and is it good for all people? Those are essentially both epistemic and ethical and metaphysical topics, the good and the true. So it's absolutely appropriate to bring in all types of questions about how we give an account for the true and the good. Multiple times throughout this debate, we've heard the opponent state that he's not here to debate the truth of Christianity. He's not here to disprove Christianity. We heard him say that he does not attribute collective guilt. Yet in his closing statement, he specifically highlighted collective guilt. He said that Christianity is responsible for the eradication of Native American peoples. Actually, Christianity provided in multiple cases the alphabet for some of the Native Americans. You can go down to Georgia and you can visit the places where various tribes had settlements where they were taught all kinds of civilizational things that they didn't possess. So even if you argued that there were instances of eradication or warfare, the idea that they were eradicated is patently false. There are still Native Americans that were not eradicated. So it's a bizarre way to go about it. He made multiple fundamental mistakes and blunders, such as saying that a person could not be a Marxist or a communist and a believer in God. That's absolutely not true. It's not consistent, but there are plenty of groups of people who are communists who affirm or believe in some form of God. So a lot of basic blunders and mistakes, a lot of weird lines of argumentation. You'll notice that it wasn't a tu quoque to point out that all civilizations and groups were involved in slave trade or were involved in these types of crimes against humanity or whatever you want to characterize it. But the main point I want to highlight is that he came to a debate to try to give an account for why Christianity is false based on essentially ethical violations. And ethics is in the domain, again, of value judgments. It's in the domain of philosophy. That's why it's absolutely proper to ask, well, what is your account of why this is wrong? Why ought we have your ethic? Not only did he not convince anybody of why we ought to have his ethic and why Christianity is false. In fact, all he did was assert bold assertions with absolutely no epistemic justification. If you can come to a debate and just assert things, as he did pretty much throughout the entire debate, then the opponent can also just assert stuff. That's why you can't be ad hoc and you can't be arbitrary. And that's essentially why I think he lost this debate hands down, and why the audience thinks he lost the debate was that he didn't want to talk about the lines of argumentation. He only wanted to talk about specifically the history. Now, it's fine to talk about the history, but I don't think he paid attention to the prompt. The prompt isn't, is there violations of Christian ethics within history? Did Christianity violate its own ethic within history? Did it fail to live up to the gospel expectations? All of those things could be prompts, but those are not the ones that we agreed to. The question was, is Christianity true? And is it good for all people? In my opening statement, I gave a list of ways that I think Christianity was, one, true, and then secondly, helped society and provided all kinds of positives. He then attempted to then attribute sort of quasi-racial guilt by highlighting European peoples, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Byzantines, all of which do have an ethnic component. And then when I talked about the history of the African slave trade, he tried to call me out for, why you go into that, dude? I didn't bring up black people. You did bring up black people in your opening statement. You talked about how Christianity and European peoples violated African tribes' people's indigenous practices. But when we talk about those African indigenous practices, you did not want to go there because they engaged in all the same types of activities that would then undercut your whole line of argumentation against Christianity. So again, it's all 100% arbitrary, all ad hoc. It was all over the place, all kinds of fundamental mistakes. And again, I want to highlight that the original line of argumentation was that the Bible's unclear, and he can think that. That's fine. But if the Bible's unclear, you can't then turn around and say that it teaches slavery, right? It doesn't if it's unclear. You could say that, well, it justifies slavery, but it's therefore not unclear. Now, I would have a basis ethically as to say why it's wrong, and he has absolutely no basis.
All right. Ladies and gents, thank you, both of you fellas. We got a lot of super chats in here. I know, Marquett, you was on a time crunch. You want to stay for about 5 minutes while I read the super chats?
Right.
I'm only going to read the ones that's 50 and up, because it's a lot of them in here. And I appreciate all of you that has been supporting. Shouts out to both of you. 2 heavy hitters, man. Marquett, I respect him, and Jay Dyer, I respect him as well. We got Dog-Headed Servant sends him $5. Says, Marquett, kingdoms like the Fan, Akon, and other Western/Central African kingdoms didn't stop human sacrifice and cannibalism until the late 19th century. Thanks to colonialism, are you saying cannibalism and human sacrifice makes a superior culture?
That person sent in $50 or more. That does not sound like a $50 person.
That was $50, man.
That was $50. Shout out.
That was $50. Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out. So he's asking me if I am okay with cannibalism. Is that the question?
So essentially, the question is stating that other countries did heinous acts, right?
Sure.
And the king. And you're basically they're saying that. I'll read it again. It's saying that other countries did heinous acts, but I'll read it again. Marquette, kingdoms like the Fan, Akon, and Western/Central African kingdoms.
Real quick, I want to shout him out for naming specific kingdoms. I think that's really good.
Okay. African kingdoms didn't stop human sacrifice and cannibalism until the late 19th century, thanks to colonialism. Sure. Are you saying cannibalism and human sacrifice makes a superior system?
Yes, that doesn't follow, right? so those two things don't follow. But the answer is no. No, I don't think cannibalism is a superior system. Thank you for that question.
All right. And, if it's a question like that posed to one of you guys, you don't have to answer it.
Jay, I don't know. Jay, do you like cannibalism?
I do. I'm all about it.
There you go.
And also, when a question is posed to one of you guys and say like Marquette answers it or Jay Dyer answers it, one of the other party can respond. We got so many in here. Let me go ahead and get to another one that's 50 here. It says Marquette actually prompts genocide and slavery to his viewers. He consistently talking about deleting and enslaving groups of people. He's a hypocrite, and this person sent them $50. Shouts out to Noble's Ninth.
Okay.
Noble's Ninth.
You got to wait till I get started with it, though. We were talking about things that have actually happened. We weren't talking about imagination or ambition. We're talking about the historical facts. So if I ever get together some slaves, and I do own a plantation, if I ever get together some slaves, then I invite you all to condemn me.
Okay, I think this is a question for Jay. Sends in $20. Shouts out to the Metal Hermit. He says, I'm Nigerian, and this guy clearly hasn't read the firsthand accounts of the heroic practices of European encountered in West Africa, and what do the actions of Catholic and Protestant heretics have to do with orthodoxy?
Yeah, I tried to state in the opening statement that he could try to argue all he wants from Dutch or Portuguese or whatever. I'm going to defend orthodoxy. So if he wants to bring up Byzantine history, I'm happy to address that. But I'm not really sure what the question is asking. What about heroic actions and where?
Basically, it's stating that, let's see here. Let me find it again. The heroic practices Europeans encountered in West Africa And what do the actions of Catholic and Protestant heretics have to do with orthodoxy? Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you look at the way that St. Innocent treated the Inuits in Alaska, the Orthodox tendency, or what we strive for, is to enculturate and not to erase. So as long as it's not something that's explicitly idolatrous or demonic, we don't have the view that it has to be eradicated.
Okay, thanks. We got Dream 901 sends in $70. He says Numbers 31 in Samuel verses 15:3 is pure proof that the Bible condones evil, and talking about those verses is admittance. The verse in these verses, God and Moses condemned killing of children and babies. Ethics of Mosaic law, hilarious. Okay.
Well, there's ethics of warfare, but there's also ethical limitations on who you can and can't kill. And like I said in my opening statement, it was the first, as I'm aware of, to limit, what you could do sexually. You can't grape. That we covered that in my opening statement with the recent Muslim debate that we had, because they try to use that to prove it. So I actually think it's the flip side, is that this is the first instance in history that we have, pretty strong limitations on what you can and can't do in an ancient, brutal time period.
Okay. We got another one here from Rachel Wilson. Let me get to it. Where is that at? Why can't I see it? It just popped out. Give me 1 second here. But while I'm doing that, he sends in $100. Shouts out to Roderick.
Ballers.
That's a baller right there. He says, Jay is clearly outmatched. Marquett is his superior. Peace to the Saints.
Shout out.
Give me 1 second here. Let me go ahead and try to find these other super chats. That's over 50. I don't know why they moved away from my screen.
And thank you to the folks supporting the debate. Shout out to the folks super chatting, and definitely hit the like button, share the video. We appreciate you.
Yeah, shouts out to all of you guys in here supporting. We got the same guy. He sends in $50. So Roderick. He says, Marquette mopped Jay. Jay keep running and deflecting. Peace to the Saints. Who else we got in here? We got Stop Playing Trey. Sends in $50. He says, Jay's only tactics is to run from questions. This is sad. And again, I'm only reading like 20 on up, so I'm just getting to these ones first. I see all of the other super chats in here.
Dirty. You went to 20?
No, I was going to 50. That was 50. 50. So okay. I'm reading like 50s and 20s and stuff like that.
Now you didn't win Jay on me. You done changed up.
Let me see here. I'm trying to get to the questions. Just a lot
Jay,
of
where
just
you from?
Regular comments.
You don't need to know where I'm at.
No, I'm not asking where you're at. Or are you still in the place that you're from?
Okay. I got another super chat
Man's
from
angry.
RJ.
I'm not angry. I'm just not going to tell you where I'm at.
No, I'm not trying to.
I'm not going to dox myself. Do you think I'm stupid? I know you think all white people are stupid, but I'm not going to dox myself.
No, but white people. What? No, I was just being conversational. Like where are you from? Like, I'm from Los Angeles. I was just being conversational, Jay. This man is still mad from the debate.
Jay,
I'm not mad. I'm making jokes. I'm not mad if I'm making jokes.
Yeah, I would say Jay. I know Jay. He's definitely joking. And Marquette, he's actually being good faith here. He's just asking a genuine question. But let me read this super chat. It says, he says in $20, he says, not going to lie, Marquette, this was bad for you. Constant assertions with no justifications, backtracking and ad hominems, and then admits mid-debate to not care about the prompt. Completely bad faith. Learn formal logic. That's what he said to you, Marquette.
I appreciate that. Literally at the outset in my opening statement, I noted what I was addressing. But I appreciate that, and thank you. Thank you for the support.
Okay, fair enough. Let me see what else we got here. A lot of these, I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube. It's not showing me all of the super chats all of a sudden. But we got one. The Snuggles sent in $110. He said, he texted his whole group chat, send me donos. Quick, I'll pay you back. Jay dismantled this man. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. I know I'm missing like another 50 or something here, but I just want to make sure we got the 50s and the 20s out the way. Thank you for all of you guys that's been supporting, but I'm not.
Right. Time considerations.
Okay, here we go. Here's another one from Nobles sending in $50. He says, Marquett speaks up against Christianity because he wants people to join his cult instead. He admits this is all. He admits this all the time. He's a deeply disturbed, immoral man who lies. Come on, what happened there? Who lies about who he is. He's a walking contradiction. And okay, got it. Any thoughts on that, Marquette?
Send another 50 and tell us who I really am. Like,
I appreciate the money.
Who I really am.
I appreciate the money.
50, tell us who I really am. That's what we want to know. I want to know too.
You keep sending them 50s. Yeah, Marquette may ask for a piece of the pie. I may have to split it with him. But we got Rachel Wilson in here. She sends in $50. She says, again, we have a serious problem with low IQ people who do not understand what debate, logic, epistemology, or metaphysics is. Engaging in debate and then thinking that people who do understand those things are the stupid ones. Marquette is an example. Okay.
Jay, for the record, I don't think you're stupid, Jay.
All right, fair enough. Let's see if I missed any. And shouts out to Rachel. I think you sent that in twice because I missed it before it went away. Rachel. Sent in 50. All right, folks. I think, young lady. Real quick. I think I found a way to find the other ones. Hold up. Okay. So, no, it was Rachel Wilson again. She sent in. That was her prior 50. It was pretty much the same question, but I'll go ahead and read this one since she sent it in. She says, we have a serious problem with low IQ people who do not understand logic assertions versus arguments or what a debate is, trying to participate in debates. And these people think they are smarter than people who do understand these things. Okay, so essentially what she said before, but just reword it.
And fair enough. Okay. We appreciate the support.
Shouts out to everyone that supported tonight. This debate was great. I do appreciate Marquette and Jay Dyer. This was not my plan here. You guys been sending me comments, DMs for the last month, hit me up on X, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, asking for this debate. And I would say to both of these brothers, this was the easiest debate I ever set up. I sent the screenshot of like one of the comments to Marquette. He said yes immediately. I sent the screenshot to Jay Dyer. He said yes immediately. So shouts out to both of these brothers. They're both winners. And with that being said, this podcast is No Fugazi. Peace. We out.
No Fugazi.